everyone. I hope you all are doing great. My name is Anjali, and we are going to be having an exciting session on interview questions on Git. So, with the help of this session, not just you are going to get benefited for your interview preparation, but also this session is going to be extremely helpful when we are going to be, just joining any organization and then we are going to be using Git for our code. So, let's get started, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. We will be starting with the interview questions and answers on Git. Okay. So the first question which we have is, what is a version control system? VCS. So, before actually jumping into this, let me quickly give you the quick overview about Git. So, why do we actually require Git? So, let us say we are having a project, and on that project we have multiple people working on it, and this is pretty much very common when you work for any of the organization. Now what we do, we actually put our changes on Git, and how it is going to be helpful. So with the help of that, we can go ahead and track the project changes, and with the help of that, we actually enhance the collaboration within the team. So that is the basic reason why we are going to be using Git. Also, with the help of Git, we are going to be maintaining the versions. So basically, with the help of these versions, what will happen? The developers can actually identify that who has made what changes. And let us say those changes are running into certain bugs or anything. So what we can do, we can run test and we can fix the bugs if there are any. Also, if let us say there is some new implementation which is also called as feature implementation, so that also we can go ahead and do. And let us say in certain situations when your code can when your code is actually bringing a huge failure, so what we can do, we can revert it to the previously working version. And that is how what we can do, we can go ahead and save our efforts, and we can also go ahead and block the people. So basically that is the reason why we are going to be using this version control. So what is the sole purpose of your version control system? So that we can go ahead and you know keep track of the contributors of the developers working as a team on the project. And how we are basically achieving that, we can actually go ahead and maintain the history of your code changes, whatever you have done there. Also, you can go ahead and have some project evaluation. So basically this version control system is going to be giving you some upper hand. And how? By providing you different options, like introducing some new codes. Also, sometimes you can go ahead and fix the existing bugs. You can also run the test with the confidence that whatever the previous copy you have done, so that whatever the previous working copy you have, you can go ahead and restore it at any moment in case if any of your changes are going to go wrong. So that is how you can understand that how a version control system is going to be helpful for us. Now let's move to our next question. Now the next question which we have here is, what does the command git config do? So when we are going to be working on our Git, there we are going to be having certain repositories. And what repository means? So basically in that repository, we are going to be putting all our code. Now, when we are going to be having those repositories, of course, we are going to be defining certain behavior there. We are also going to be having we should actually have the option of setting user information. We should also be having the option of setting preferences. So whatever your git installation based configurations are there, that also your git config command is going to be doing. So with the help of this, what you can actually go ahead and do, you will have option to set configuration options, and those configuration options are going to be to define behavior of the repository. Second one is to provide some user information and preferences, whatever the user is actually opting for. Also, you can go ahead and provide some Git installation based configurations. Okay, so all of these things your git config command can actually do. Now I will be taking some example, like let us say you want to set up your name and email ID before using git commands. So, we actually have to authenticate. So how you can actually go ahead and do this? So for that purpose, you're going to be using something like git config, then global, because it is going to be happening on the global level. Now what you will have to do, you will just have to provide your username, and first you have to write a username, and then you will have to go ahead and provide your username here. So with the help of this command, you can go ahead and set up your name and email address. Like with the help of this, you can go ahead and set up your name. Now I will tell you how can you go ahead and set up your email address. So for that, what you will be doing, you're going to be using something like git config global. Then you will do user dot email. Why we are using user dot email? Because now we are interested into providing the email. And then here you can go ahead and provide your email. So by using these commands, it is going to be easier for you to provide all the information. Okay. Now let's move to the next question. So the next question which we have here is, what is a conflict? So as the English name says, conflict. So what could be the possibly meaning for this? So of course, the possible meaning which we are getting out of it is that some issues are going to be there, right? So when we talk about the regular scenario, like the real day-to-day life, there also when we talk about conflict, so what we actually say that, okay, some issues are going to be happening, right? Now, when you talk about Git, so what could be a conflict there? So, in that particular case, what will happen? Uh, in this particular scenario, let us say we have two users, a user 1 and a user like A and user B. Now let us say we have a file here with us. The file is file1 dot, let us say txt. It could be anything, right? Now what can happen? Since they both have access to this file, this person can go ahead and make changes. This person can go ahead and make changes. Now let us say what this person A has done. He has added 2 lines in the beginning, and then we have our old data. Okay. Now what this person has done, this person has old data, and at the bottom he has added certain lines. Now what will happen? Let us say this person is going ahead and pushing his changes to the repo. Then what will happen? The moment this guy is actually going to be pushing his changes, he is going to be getting merge conflicts. Now, what is merge conflicts? Of course, he will get that whatever the file he is accessing to make his changes, that file has been updated. So if that file has been updated, what do we have to do? First is going to be to take the updated file, and on that updated file, he should be going ahead and making the changes. So if he is following that, in such a case, he is going to be good to go with all the conflicts, right? Now, when you talk about Git, right? So what happens? Git is very good at handling conflicts. So what he will be doing, certain of the things Git is actually going to be addressing on its own. So Git actually provides you the feature of merging automatically. But sometimes what happens, it becomes very difficult for the Git to merge the changes at like automatically. There may be conflicts, and what kind of conflicts can be there? So the first conflict is when, let us say, you have two files, okay? Like let us say you have two branches and they are making changes to the same line, okay? So when two branches have changes to the same line in a file. So in that case, at the time of merge, right, your Git will get confused that which changes are new, which changes are old, what I should keep, what I should discard. So this is the first thing where your Git is not going to be addressing the conflict on its own. And what is the another conflict? Like let us say you have deleted a file in one branch, but other person is modifying it. Okay. So a file is deleted in one branch but modified in another. So in such a case, again, your Git will actually become like confused in order to figure out what to keep, what to discard. So when you talk about such kind of conflicts, then these are the conflicts which you will have to go ahead and solve manually. And of course, you will also have to discuss with the team, because when you talk about Git, so Git will not be able to predict that what and whose changes have to be given precedence. He is not going to understand that which one is going to be given the priority. Okay. Now, let's look here. What is happening? We are having a version here. Now, after this, we have a team member who has made changes to same file and he is trying to push. So, he is trying to send his changes. Similarly, we have a team member one. He is also trying to make changes and pushing. Because of that, we are now having two versions. One is 2A, another one is 2B. Now, what will happen? Your team member 2, he is going to face certain conflicts. And why those conflicts are going to be there? Because they both are making changes to the same file. So in such a case, what we should be like, what is the ideal solution for such a problem? That they both are discussing that what are the changes and how they should actually move ahead. After merging all those changes, then we are going to get one version for the same file. And why like if you will see, initially there was one version, from there we are giving rise to two versions, and from there we are coming to another version. From there we are going to be resolving all our conflicts, and that is how your final version is going to be there, and this version is not going to be having any of the conflicts. Now we will be moving to our next question. So the next question which we have here is define index. So when you talk about index, what happened? Like let's talk about the regular index. So why do we need a regular index? So that you will understand that which page, like let us say I'm talking about the index which we have in our books. So how that index is going to be helpful? That index is going to be telling you that which chapter is going to be available at which page, correct? Similar manner, we have certain index here as well. So when you talk about this index in Git, so this is going to be doing pretty much the same job. So what is going to happen? Like let us say you are making some commits to the changes, whatever you have done. So for that, the developer is actually going to first of all, he is going to get the format. After that, he is going to be reviewing the files, and if there are certain changes, they are going to be getting options for the innovations, correct? Now, after all of these things which we have done, then where all these changes will be going? They will go to some place which is called as index or staging area. Okay, it will go to either of these. Now what will happen, like, let's you just talk about this particular image. So what is happening here, you can see initially all your changes are going to be coming inside untracked. All of these changes are going to be untracked. After that, what we will do, we are going to be staging them. So when we will add any file, it will go to the stage. After getting the stage, the next one is going to be commit. And after commit, we will even have the option of editing it. So when we will be editing, of course, like, we are modifying our file. And let us say after that, you have your file which you are deleting. So from commit, it will come back to your untracked because now it is deleted. So we are not tracking it out, correct? So if you will see this image, when you talk about this staged status, right? So what this one is actually doing, so this one is indicating the staging area. And in this particular area, we are going to be offering people that you see whatever changes we have done. So once you are evaluating your changes there, then you will have the option of committing it. So it is like, we are performing a check there. And once you approve those changes, once you approve all those files, then you can go ahead and commit them. Okay. So we can say about this stage, what this do, this indicates the staging area and provides opportunity for the people to evaluate changes before committing them. So now with the help of this, it must be clear to you that what we do in our staging area, we are going to be evaluating them. Now let's move to our next question. So the next one is why it is considered to be easy to work on Git. So, when you talk about Git, what happens with the help of Git, whatever the developers are there, right? So they are going to be actually gaining lots of advantages. And when we talk about advantages, so where these advantages are going to be focused, so these ones are going to be focused in the terms of performing the development process, and they are going to be targeting that process to become faster and more efficient. So now let's discuss what are the major features of the Git which has made it easier to work. So the first one is branching capabilities. So what do you mean by branching capabilities? So if any like branch is having like if you are working on something and if you have the option of branching capabilities, so what will happen? All your developers can go ahead and work on multiple branches for the different features of the project. Now, let me put it in some easier manner. Let us say I have some project. Okay. For this project, we have different people in the team. Okay. Let us say this one is working on feature 1. This one is working on feature 2. This one is working on feature 3. So what we are going to do here, we are going to be creating branches. Branch name can be anything. So let us say this one is giving branch name A, B, C. So what will happen? They all will make a copy of this project firstly on their machine. Now in that copy, this one can go ahead and implement feature 1. Similarly, this one is going to maintain a copy here. In this copy, he can go ahead and implement feature 3. Similarly, this one is going to be maintaining a copy of this project and all the changes related to feature 2. Once we have done all these changes, so what is going to be the next step? The next step is going to be like, after you have all these things, this person will have the option of pushing the changes back to the repo.
pushing the changes back to the repo, pushing the changes back to the repo. And if you will see how this has been helpful for us, so they are not actually, you know, blocked by anyone. If let us say they all are working on the same project, so if this person is working on some feature one, other people will be blocked because they will wait for this one to complete the work. But by maintaining a branch, this one is not blocked and this one is doing his work. Also, when you talk about branching capabilities, right, so this one is going to be making your work easier in the terms of merge. So this one is going to be providing you the option of merge, and that too along with some efficient workflow which you can use for tracking it end to end. Okay. Now the next one which we have here is distributed manner of development. So when you talk about Git, so Git is a distributed system. Now what is a distributed system? It means instead of keeping everything at one place, now we are keeping it at multiple places. Okay. So that is what Git is offering. And because of this nature, it becomes easier to trace and locate data if it is lost from the main server. In the Git, you're going to be maintaining certain logs, or better you call it as history. So what will happen in that history? Let us say you are deleting a file. In that history, you will have that okay, somebody has deleted a file. Similarly, if somebody is adding, so you will understand, okay, this person is adding. At the same time, they will also be like, having a lot of other details like on which date what has happened and everything. So all of that, those things are going to be there. So that is why we can say it becomes easier to trace and locate data if it is lost from the main server. Also, when you talk about your Git, right? So in this particular case, your developer is going to get a repository file. And that repository file is going to be present on your server. Now, when you talk about this particular file, so what we will be doing, we are also going to be storing a copy of this. And that one we are going to be calling as your local repository. So like I was saying, this person is going to be maintaining a copy of the project. So this one is actually called as your local repository because now it is available on your developer's system. And just because Git offers all of these things, so what we can say, the entire project's scalability that has been improved drastically. Okay. Now, the next one which we have here is pull request feature. So what does that mean? So, let us say you are I gave you this example that we have a project on that 3 people are working. And once they are done with their changes, what they are doing, they are pushing all the changes back to the main repo. Now, let us say this person wants to have the updated one. So what he will do, he will go ahead and pull all the changes from the origin. Origin means your root. Okay. So this one is going to be helping you. Like when you talk about this pull request feature, so this one is going to be helping you in easier interaction among all the developers of the team, because they can actually coordinate together and they can perform merge operations. Of course, if everybody is working on it and when we are going to be pulling, so they all are actually going to be performing merge operations there. Also, when you talk about your pull request feature, right? So this one is going to be keeping a track of all your changes, whatever you are doing by the, whatever the people are going to be there in that team and whatever changes they are going to be making. So this one is actually going to be maintaining a proper track of all your changes, whatever the developers are doing to that code. Okay. Now, after this, the next one which we have is effective release cycle. So when you talk about effective release cycle, so what does it mean? So, when you talk about like your any project, so of course that one is going to be having lots of features. So what Git is going to be doing, Git is going to be helping us to increase the speed of release cycle. And how it is going to be helpful for us, because this one is going to be improving the project workflow, and that too in some efficient manner. Because if you talk about any of the projects, you are not going to be just maintaining one release, you are going to be having multiple releases. So if you want to achieve that, the best approach is going to be by using Git. Now let's move to our next question. Now the next question is, differentiate between git pull and git fetch. So a lot of people actually get confused what these two terms are. So first I'll tell you what a git pull is, then I will tell you what a git fetch is, and after that I will tell you what is the difference, like how you these two are actually related to each other. Okay, so when you talk about git pull, right? So what happens? Let us say you are having some of your repository, right? Now on that, if you are working and if you are making certain changes, if you want all the new changes, so what you will do, you are going to be using git pull. So basically it is like pulling out all the new changes. Okay. So what this will do, this pulls new changes from the currently working branch. Okay, so whatever the remote repository is there, in that you are going to be having certain branch, and if you want new changes, you are going to be using git pull. Now the next one which we have here is git fetch. So what is git fetch? So let us say you are actually, like you are targeting into pulling the changes from the working branch, but in this particular scenario it is going to be involving two step process. In pull is actually one step, fetch is a two step. The first one is actually going to be, what you will have to do, this one is going to be pulling all your commits, like whatever the changes you have committed, whatever the changes are going to be there. So what it will do, it is going to be pulling all of them, and then it will store them in a new branch of your current repository. After that, what is the second one which you will be doing? You are like, whatever the changes are going to be there, if you want them to reflect, so in such a case you are going to be using git merge command. So basically, if I will have to say that what is the link between git pull and git fetch, so that is like your git pull is actually equivalent to git fetch plus git merge. So it is combination of these two. I repeat, what we do in our git fetch. So firstly, like it is also going to be pulling the changes from the currently working branch, whatever is actually located in your remote central repository. But in this particular case, we are going to be following two steps. The first one is going to be to pull all your commits and your changes, both of the things, like whatever the changes and commits you have. And what we will be doing, we are going, after pulling them, we are going to be storing them into a new branch. After that, if you want those changes to reflect here, we are going to be using git merge. So with the help of git merge, we are going to be actually pulling all the changes. So this is what is actually the difference between these two. Now let's move to our next question. So the next question is, why do we not call get pull request as push request? So when you talk about your push request, so what is like what why it is actually termed like this, because it is done when your target repository request is actually requesting us to push our changes to it. So when it is going to be pushing, then we need it. Or what I will do, I'll just draw it out for you. And when you talk about pull request, so what happens in the pull request in this particular one, whatever your repo is there, right? So that one is requesting your target repository to, grab, or you can say pull all the changes from there. So let me actually draw so that you can understand it better. So let us say here we have our Git central repository. Okay. Now after this, of course, here we are going to be having our local system, correct? Then what will happen if you are going to be pulling? So what will happen from your central repo? You are going to be pulling all your changes to your local system. At the same time, let us say you want to push your changes. So what will happen, instead of going directly, you are actually going to be having a commit object. So whatever the changes you have, those changes are going to first get added to your commit object. And after getting added here, the next step is going to be pushing it to your central repo. That is why when you talk about push request, so what we are doing here in the push request, your target repository is actually taking it, like, it is actually requesting us that, okay, whatever changes you have done, just push it to the repo, right? On the other side, if you talk about pull, so what we are doing in this particular one, whatever your central repo is there, it is pulling all the changes to your central machine. So that is how it is going to be there. Now let's see our next question. So the next question is difference between Git and GitHub. So, a lot of people actually get confused that what is going to be the difference between the two, Git and GitHub. So, when you talk about this, firstly, when you talk about Git, so what is a Git? Just now I said what it will be doing. This is going to be your distributed version control system. And what we will be doing, we are going to be installing this on our local machines. And after installing it on our local machines, what we can do, all the developers can actually keep a track of whatever commits you have done. And with the help of Git, we can actually, we can track work, plus we can support collaborative work. Okay. On the other side, when you talk about GitHub, so what is a GitHub? So, this is nothing but a cloud based source code repository. And when you talk about this, so who has developed it? So Git has only developed it. So we can say developed by Git. Okay. Also, when you talk about Git, right? So this one is actually maintained by Linux Foundation. Okay. On the other side, when you talk about GitHub, so what GitHub is, GitHub was actually acquired by Microsoft. Okay. Also, when you talk about Git, so what and all are the competitors for your Git? So SVN, Mercurial. So these all are the competitors for your Git. On the other side, when you talk about GitHub, so what and all are the competitors? So GitHub, Atlassian, Bitbucket. So these are the competitors. So when you talk about GitHub, right? So this is going to be providing you variety of services. Like, with the help of GitHub, you can go ahead and create fork. You can also go ahead and do your user management. And you can do all of these things along with providing a central repository, which can be used by our team so that they can go ahead and have the option of collaboration. They can go ahead and do some collaborative work. So basically, this is going to be the difference between Git and GitHub.
I hope you all guys got benefited by this session. So thanks a lot for watching it out. If you found it helpful, please share it with your friends. And also, just put all your questions in the chat box below, and I'm going to be helping you out with all your queries. And stay connected. Happy learning. Bye bye, guys.